We need a thing that just goes, it's showtime.
Yeah, there you go.
We need the epic voiceover guy to start these sessions, Collin.
Yes, we do. Well, I'll do my best to be our epic voiceover guy today and welcome us all in to another edition of the It's Time to Lead Different live stream / podcast. I'm your host, Collin Dayley. I'm the CEO of the Circle Leader, and my partner is Dave Clare, CEO and founder of Circle Leadership Global. And the intention of this meeting in this conversation is to have a lively and active conversation about what's happening in leadership and how to evolve and create leadership capabilities within ourselves and our teams that really help us adapt and align with what's happening in the world. So I probably overstated my, I could have gone, Dave, to the, in a world where, but I think for now,
in a world where leadership is
exactly. But our purpose here is to have a discussion and maybe suss out an idea or two that can really be implemented and be useful for you as a leader. So buckle up. Today we're going to have a conversation about integrity and what that means within the structure of leadership within our businesses, and how shifting more toward deeper alignment and focus on integrity can actually have an exponential impact on our businesses. So maybe what we can do, Dave, is start out with maybe some of your thoughts about like what is driving, and we've talked about this before in this live stream, but what's driving the disengagement of teams across the globe. I think the last stats that Gallup has put out is somewhere in the neighborhood of 77% of all
it's
team
not
members.
Getting better, it's getting worse,
No.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So maybe talk about some of the. Oh, go ahead.
No, I'll just say that. So the interesting, just even with the stats getting worse at the moment, Collin, you'd have to ask, and I don't know. Once again, just ask: is this whole working from home, return to work, is that adding to people have got a taste of what it's like to be able to work from home for those who can, and perhaps those who if you're, like I said, if you're a barista and you need to go in the coffee shop to pump coffee. Like, I get it. You can't really work from home unless you set up a little cafe at the end of your driveway. And perhaps those people are frustrated because they don't get to work from home, whereas others do. And then there's those who are being mandated to go back to the office. And is that adding to the disengagement in organizations? Because I'm still a firm believer, even before, and now I'm just wondering, is it worse? One of my clearest and most recent ones is that people aren't, people are feeling disconnected from purpose, not places.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So it's not that they're just not connected because we're not working together. No, they're not disconnected from places. They're disconnected from purpose. They don't. Right. This whole people have started questioning, the meaning of their work. What am I doing this for? Like, why am I slogging my guts out every day to do this here at this organization? For what reason, other than a paycheck to go off and do whatever else I want to do with my life?
Yeah. So obviously there are myriad contributing factors, that are driving this. Kind of the topic for our conversation today is, where do you think and how do you think leadership and our sometimes misalignment with with what we say and what we actually do as leaders creates some of that disengagement? Or give me some of your experience or your point of view on where and how that's impacting, how teams are engaged these days.
Yeah, so this is really interesting because, like the old "do as I say, not as I do," mantra of management. I won't call it leadership. I wouldn't insult leadership with that. Is like it's it's okay for the leader, manager, positional person to do these things or to go off with that, where it's not okay for me. Right, then we built this perpetual cycle that I can't wait to be a manager, so I get my car and my phone and things, and I get to boss people around. And then you have to change, and the people that you hated, you've become, and so the whole integrity starts to fall apart anyway, right? The whole thread of integrity, who you are as a person, because have you've been waiting for your turn to yell and scream at people, and use people as a resource and a means to an end so that you can. Now, I know this is a very dystopian view on the concept, but I find historically that this is we've been stepping on each other's backs to climb the corporate ladder is made up of other people's backs, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And when it's my turn to climb it, or and the funny thing is, attitude reflects leadership, right? So if your people are acting with this low sense of integrity, for example, well, that's probably because you're demonstrating it.
Yeah. Right.
Somewhere.
Right. Yeah. My experience is, and I appreciate that. That's an interesting point of view. My experience is that it doesn't have to be a massive misalignment between what we say and what we do. It can be these tiny little acts of intention that ultimately don't get micro agreements that or expectations that are set that are not met, and create that disconnect between what the manager or what the leader has actually said and what actually is experienced by the team member. And again, every tiny little, it's like broken glass, right, or sand in the gears that just little by little just slows the whole organization down and creates that tension. And to your point, sometimes creates that jealousy or that expression of a negative belief, or negative behaviors when somebody gets an opportunity, because seemingly, right, there's permission given to the leadership level within an organization to be out of integrity, which seems irrational. Because Anyway, what are your thoughts about?
What I think we've highlighted there is really powerful, and most people don't realize that. It's cracks let the light in, right? So all of a sudden, the tiny little cracks that go, oh, I can see into that there, and go, in those little micro moments of integrity under question, when they all add up, and I agree, sand in the gears, but also, when you get sand in your shoes or you get whatever, and it just, after a while, the abrasion and it just friction, and you get blisters, and well, that's the same thing when those tiny little micro things. It's not like a blatant obvious. And it's funny, you ever have a conversation with somebody, especially in a sales environment, and the salesperson saying all the right things, but something inside you going, just not buying it for a reason, because whatever's going on inside ourselves found a way to manifest itself on the outside, right? So if they're not, they don't believe it themselves, but they're telling you all this really cool stuff. We just pick up on this vibe that is not there's a lack of congruency between what they're saying and what you believe is actually going on, right? And you feel it. It's human. It's energy. And so even integrity in those moments, that's where and you can excuse a moment, hey, let's discuss it, and then, oh yeah, you know what? Thank you very much for pointing that out to me. I didn't realize I was acting incongruently or demonstrating that. You can have then. But if it's there, and then again and again and again and again, it just builds up a pattern, which then becomes a belief, or habit. And then you've lost your team.
Right. And
so
you wonder.
It's actually the macro ones are obvious, but it's the micro ones that add up. Before you know it, it's like a bucket with a small hole in the bottom of it, empty just as much as one that's deliberately kicked over.
Exactly.
It just takes longer, and it's less obvious.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I've heard this concept recently that if you want to have your team enrolled, you need to be enrolled first as the leader. And isn't it interesting that if we ourselves are misaligned or slightly out of integrity, our words and our actions don't, and our commitments are a little weak, are not as focused as they can be, then we are less enrolled. So when we expect our people to be fully enrolled in our purpose and our values and our vision, and they show up not fully enrolled, it's like you said, it's an inside out job. It's the leader being enrolled, him or herself, which is the most important thing. So it's centrally critical, right? If you want the edifice of your business to be sound and solid and to be able to evolve, like we've talked about, it needs to be integral, right? And that starts with the leader. So
absolutely. Just attitude reflects leadership. It's that fundamentally simple.
Yeah. I 100% agree. And why are so many leaders? I wrote an article today about this, but there are some statistics that demonstrate that upwards of 30 or 40% of leaders themselves are dissatisfied and frustrated. And I think part of that is, it's really difficult to feel like I just talked about, enrolled or connected or passionate when internally we're out of integrity. And so when we know,
I'm just looking at your article there right now. Great article, by the way. If anyone hasn't, jump on LinkedIn, follow Collin Dayley, get the Daily Collin, and he's got a great article there about radical integrity, the hidden multiplier for team engagement and performance. And it's a fantastic article you've written. I was just looking at those stats there.
Yeah, I think it's a real challenge. You and I both talk to a lot of leaders who express a lot of times a feeling of like, is this all there is? Is this, and this is no fun anymore, right? And I think a lot of times it's not about what's actually happening out there. It's always about what's happening in here first. So where we are. So
the staggering thing, if we get back to all those stats at the very beginning about disengagement, that not many people actually talk about, is actually the leaders that are actually disengaged.
That's what I'm.
So we actually have the disengaged leading the disengaged.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I think there's like 20 something or more % of leaders are out there absolutely disengaged in the work that they're doing. And I think this is really, I don't know if it's part of the problem, part of the solution, or just misconception that most leaders, when most people are working in their teams, it's about the product or service that we're offering to the clients, and then the process, and then the people, right?
Right.
But when you're in a leadership role, that is the other way around. It's the people, the process, then the product, right? So you help the people become their best version of themselves through the life's best work, so that they enhance the process, which makes a greater product, which provides better service to our clients. So it's that flip from there. But what you find is a lot of leaders or people go into leadership roles or positional leaders or managers. They're still focused on product, process, and people are still the last thing that people think. It's another resource, another cog in the wheel, another thing that I get to use to try and achieve all the stuff that I have to,
right?
Rather than realizing that, people is the game that you're playing.
Right. Yeah. People is the game that you're playing. I love that. And how true, even today with AI and everything, but still it is
more so today.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say,
right.
Yeah,
because this isn't but AI, but look at this from a integrity point of view. If I already feel like you're treating me like a resource, like a means to an end or an expendable commodity, and you say, no, we care about you as people, we care about you this, but you only care about me while I'm here at work, and as long as I'm helping you get what you want, then I feel like I'm cared for. But the moment I may not be perceived as helping you get what you want or helping you look good, all of a sudden I'm just a means to an end for you, right? So I'm a resource. Then you go, hey, we're going to introduce AI. So I'm a resource, and we've just introduced another resource. Now we have competing resources. And then now I feel threatened by this competing resource that you've brought in. And we're wondering why then there's a fight between AI and and AI is not going to go away, and you're still going to need people. So you've got this battle going on. And so people are either going to use AI inappropriately, because AI just amplifies whatever's going on. If you have a bad culture, it'll amplify your bad culture. If you have bad decision making, if you have disengaged people, it'll amplify disengagement, as we know. Or if we go, hang on, we do really care about you as a human being, so we're going to help you be a human being. And then, by the way, to help you unleash all that cool stuff, we're going to give you this really cool resource that is a completing resource, not a competing resource. It's going to complete your human beingness. So all your creativity, curiosity, and all this access to this, all of a sudden, you're going to go, oh, these companies actually do say what they, actually do what they say they're going to do, or treat me the way that they do say that they treat me.
Right.
And which, this is where the breakdown in integrity can happen is when you tell me this, but you do this. I go, well, but do you really?
Right. Yeah. And like we talked about, little by little by long, it wears out the the integrity of your business, the actual structure of your business. So, and it becomes abrasive to your customers and clients too. And that's really where the rubber meets the road. So, if anybody's listening,
when your clients start to feel it, then you're,
oh boy, you're down the road. But again, like we've talked about, it's inherent, or not inherent, it's incumbent on the leadership team, and that starts at the very top, to be as integral themselves as they can possibly be, so that it flows out and down throughout the whole organization, and then flows back, right, into, and like we talked about before, moving from an ecosystem to an ecosystem, where that core value of and I'm not going to suggest that anybody needs to put integrity as a core value, but the behavior of integrity, and that's a whole other conversation. The behavior of alignment, consistency, integrity is actually the mechanism, by which culture actually spreads. It becomes viral, right? When people can trust each other, they can share experiences with each other. They become not just great people, but they become great teams as well. And when you get that rolling in your organization, right, then you literally are unstoppable. Now that becomes your differentiator. That becomes and again, it's the alignment and the integrity that's coming in through from the organization, through the organization, then out into the market, and the market then reflects that back, right? And then it's that whole concept that really closes the loop and really cements you as a presence in your marketplace. So anyway, I don't know. You think I'm passionate about this? You think maybe there's
100%, and you're a person of very high integrity. So I think this is at your core as who you are as a human.
Yeah, I will tell you though, and this is a personal anecdote. I've been challenged a couple of times in the last couple of weeks. Small things where I've either made a kind of verbal commitment, and then by for whatever circumstance that verbal commitment wasn't followed through on, and thankfully the people in my life have said, hey, that seems out of alignment, and again, I think this is a characteristic, I hope, of good leadership, but being self-aware and being able to actually ask that question without self-judgment. So it's not about judging yourself as a bad leader if you're misaligned. It's about recognizing when it's actually happening and correcting it before it becomes abrasive to yourself or to your organization. What do you think about that?
I agree with 100%. Like it's actually more so for you, or not any one of us, but in the example you're sharing, is if you just and then carry on, right? But the fact you go, oh crap, thank you.
Yeah.
And I acknowledge that, and I will either amend, fix, or work on that, and that's great. Like for me, and then if you do that, then that's still demonstrating integrity, right? Integrity is not a static thing. Like, oh, you acted without integrity there. Well, hang on, what would integrity look like here? Well, it'd be going, oh wow, you've highlighted something to me that I did not notice. Thank you. I've amended or fixed or corrected myself, and I've moved forward. That is what integrity would look like, because it's for me, it's an action thing. It's not a static thing.
Yeah.
And I think here's the thing that I'd like to challenge all of us on here is like, what does actually integrity mean? Like, me, I love words. I'm a word nerd, and the dictionary is my favorite book. And so when we think about the word integrity, what does it actually mean?
It's the structural infrastructure, of an edifice or a building or a group. It's the alignment in the connection points. From my point of view, what is the actual definition? I should have.
Right. So if you go to, and me, like I always like to go to the origin and root of words, because I think over a period of time we've bastardized a lot of the English language. But or even, should I say, the Latin language, because most words started from Latin, right? So if you look at the definition or the root of the word integrity, it comes from integritas, like what, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. That might not have great integrity in terms of what that means.
Call yourself out, buddy. Yeah.
It meant totality or wholeness, right? So complete, perfect, intact, untouched. Right. So like that's what integrity means, right? So like if you look at the integrity of steel, the wholeness of it, like the higher the integrity of steel, like the stronger the right. So but can you have different layers or levels of integrity, like in steel, for example? Like the integrity of this steel is like and that might make that a higher rated steel. It doesn't mean the other stuff doesn't have integrity. It's just not as much integrity as what this piece of steel does, for example. And so it's that totality or wholeness, which means if you embody, I believe, if you embody the fact that, hey, you've received feedback and it's there, and then you did something about it, that is part of your wholeness. That is part of your totality. It doesn't mean that you won't, do something different, or if you just like, yep, great, thanks for pointing that out, and then just carry on as always, then that's lacking integrity.
Yeah. Or doing what a lot of us do, especially in leadership positions, like getting offended, becoming offended, or starting to sort of circle inward and second guess ourselves. Then then
I care about feedback, Collin. I would love I love to I want to be the best coach I can be. I want to be the best leader for you, and all of a sudden you give me feedback and you go, who are you to come in here and tell me what are you that you don't have no idea about?
Right. You become defensive. Then you become even more prescriptive, and it just creates you actually retreat from connection with the team versus actually making the deeper connection. I was going to suggest that wholeness concept. It literally is the way I've been working this concept in the last couple of days is that it's the scaffolding, right, that holds everything together, right, and in our business and in our lives as well. And it is interesting that in the relationships that I've been challenged with in the last couple of weeks, acknowledging it, amending, and then working to demonstrate a new level of integrity actually deepens the relationship. It's remarkable that it's like heat treating steel, to stick with that metaphor, right? So we can actually improve its integrity over time, to your point, by actually recognizing where it's weak and then working on that. And so anyway,
like that once again is why I said it's an active thing. Like integrity, maybe Gavin likes to say strategy is a verb, but like integrity might be a verb. You know what I mean? It's like it's on a, I'm not saying on a continuum or a spectrum of sorts, but it's if you can increase the integrity the each time you, like say, you forge a steel, right? You heat it all up and then go and make it weak, then you dunk it in the water and then you do it again and again and again. That's forging, right? So that's to increase the strength of the steel.
It's creating more and more strength. But I love it.
So that I think and I guess for me, when from a leadership point of view here, it's and looking at culture and the whole organizational structure, this wholeness this is why getting your purpose and then your values and your vision and your mission and everything in total alignment is what creates that wholeness and that strength of the organization, right? Which is why, once again, then helping your teams to make smarter decisions. It's not just based on purpose only. It's not just based on values. It's not just vision or mission. It's filtering it through all those, that whole decision-making filter, and then when all this sort of stuff that we're talking about, that's where you build this wholeness and this, this, when you talk about invincible culture and whatnot, like this is, it's almost like integrity is it's the glue that holds all that together, right?
And it's glue, but it's also lubricant. I honestly think it lubricates. It brings us closer together as humans. And again, whatever your organization is, it's made up of a bunch of humans, working together toward a singular purpose. So how we can two aspects of this, right? The more we can connect with our people and teams, the more they will connect back to us, and that engagement concept that we talked about at the top of this conversation, your engagement, for those of you who are listening, can go way. It doesn't have to be, 8, 7, or 8 out of 10 of your employees being disengaged, or even your managers, 3 out of 10 of your managers being totally disengaged. I mean, you can dramatically cut that rate within your organization by simply being more aligned with what you say and what you do, so that you actually are living out your core values. So anyway,
that's an organization. Like, you have all this stuff. If you do, and if you don't, well, you should. Not like to shit on people. But it will be helpful and beneficial. Let me say that. And even if you do have corporate rhetoric, BS stuff that's there and all that, and you're not leading, living, loving that. And it's just little cracks. That's where those. Oh, there we go again, bending our values just to suit this opportunity to, rather than going, hang on, how do we change this opportunity to make sure that it doesn't reject and/or. But if we're making our values malleable, well, in this case, it doesn't matter as much as it does over there. And then
that's not integrity. That's not integrity. And the structure of your organization is not whole. It becomes fluid, and it will collapse. So, great topic today. Any other observations? Any other insights? Any points that I have not made?
Just other than the fact that integrity is a code of ethics thing, it shouldn't be one of your core values. I'm not saying that we shouldn't value it. Please understand this. I'm not saying it's not something that we don't value. All I'm saying, from organizational perspective, that should be price of entry to being a good human, being a good business person, to being a good business, is that integrity should be price of entry stuff, like what I call code of ethics, not the core values of your business that makes your business unique in the way it thinks about the problem it's passionate about solving in the world. So, let's just make integrity the standard, and everything else is on top of it. Right. It's and integrity is being willing to holy crap, thank you for pointing that out. It's not saying that if my wholeness shows a crack, how do I handle that? That's integrity. It's how do I forge that to make it stronger so it doesn't happen again? Right.
Integrity is not something you just do. Integrity is who we are. Right. So make it integral and structural.
The fullness of who I am as a person, do my deeds and my words and my actions and things like that align. And when they don't, what do I do about it?
Yeah, right. And that's integrity. If you can recognize it and then amend it. So
awesome. Thank you for helping me forge myself into something stronger and more of what I'm capable of.
Into a high charged, high flame, highly attractive. I meant that in magnetic terms.
Yes, of course.
Leader. So, all right. So thank you so much for the conversation today, Dave. It's been another exciting opportunity for us to explore ideas. Any of you who are listening or watching, if you have any questions or would like to go deeper on any of these topics, you can reach myself or Dave and all of our socials. And until next week, happy hunting. We'll talk to you soon.
Make sure to get Collin's article on LinkedIn, please.
Thank you, Dave.
All right.
Have a good one. Take care.